Hey, I just started live. So, the concept of what's the concept of nothing sacred is actually more regarding the painting itself. So I think there's a kind of a lesson in here for that I'd like to share is whereas like I spent all day yesterday mapping everything out, and I put all these like defects in the wall and kind of started getting details going, but you have to, up until a certain point, mind you, but for the most part everything always has to be um, you can't be, oh, I can't change that, I like it. You get attached to certain parts of the painting early on, and that kind of has to be smashed because everything has to be malleable, and you have to be able to work on everything up until a certain, you'll get to a certain point where you go, okay, now we keep this imagery. But I just noticed these marks on the wall, for example, which I spent, I guess a significant amount of time, not like bent over with a microscope, but like plotting things in and going over different layers. And I just realized they're way too aggressive. They don't really blend into, they don't there's too much contrast. There's a number of different things that are wrong with the wall, but it came to me like, well, yeah, you just got to keep working them and even like changing them, meaning like some of them will get erased, some of the marks will get removed or altered. And that's because like you have to have the mindset of like, nothing, just because you worked on it doesn't mean it's going to stay the entire painting. Just because you put it in doesn't mean it stays. It's just to help you to get to the next step. It's just to help you get to the next layer or position, or help you find out what's working, what's not working. There's a number of different reasons why you put things in and then would take them out. And that happens a lot. But I just think as a painter, you get attached to certain elements you've put in, but they should just show you the pathway forward. Not that, oh, I can't touch that, I spent all day on it. Well, no, that's I understand. It's kind of hard. It's almost hard to wrap your mind around it. But for whatever reason, this this these the wall is almost just as important to me anyway as the figure. Hi, bye. Lisa, what's up? Yeah, he's a cutie, and he's like kind of the only lone survivor after an apocalypse. Is like an AI teddy bear, just staring at himself in a puddle. That's kind of the whole premise in a nutshell. Doing a wash on everything, and I really particularly think the wall needs some layering. So a lot of this you might not even be able to catch on camera, but I'm just doing a wash on the entire with a small brush, a lot of liquid, and some pigment, as you can see. But just covering everything, the nooks, the crannies, the nooks and crannies, all the everything on the wall. But I think I was saying this, the wall is just as important to me in this piece as the little bear. I want to give it the same amount of attention. It is a little easier in some cases and then a little more difficult in some cases. The bear is pretty straightforward. The wall is very abstract. But even he's getting a wash. He's like, and when you build up layers, there's certain elements that stay for the entire painting. Just because I'm giving something a wash in this case doesn't mean it's gone forever. It's just building up, like from the ground floor, like it's almost like a building, or would be another good analogy. Because I'm not losing all the detail. In fact, most of it will remain. It's just kind of dulling it. I'm dulling it. What might be the best way to describe what's happening. And it's like a light. It's a gray. It's a yellowish gray wash. Now, forgive me for a second because I'm here, but the camera can't see it today. My setup is pretty limited, but I'm just gonna go around and, like I said, see, I got a bigger brush and I'm just gonna go around and hit everything. I'm just dulling down some of this, look, I'm even hitting some of that concrete, hitting the door frame, even in the corners where there might be like a vignette, calming it down for now. But these layers all work together over time. It's like a relationship. I can bring out some of these harsh peach colors in the wall, but it's just not everywhere. The whole thing is not, there's so much nuance and variation. And in order to capture that, especially in like a painterly way, glazing and washing it with like this glaze is really helpful. It unifies things and it gives me like a better starting point. So like if you look back to the beginning of this video, you'll see where the painting was at, and now if you skip ahead 10 minutes, you'll see what the wash did. Even this black crease in the side of the wall, it's just a little too harsh right now. There might be some like really heavy blacks later on, but not yet. This is just a unifying technique to kind of bring everything, even his little jacket, give it a wash. Wash him, give him a wash before. But calm everything down, bring everything, give everything like, it's almost like a filter that you would put on an image on Photoshop, like a transparent filter. Everything dried overnight, so before I started, everything was touch dry. But yeah, so that's why I said nothing is sacred. I can't be too attached to the painting at this stage. If I get too attached to the painting at this stage, it won't be as good as it could be. You have to trust, as they say, trust the process. Knowing that these like glazing layers, because we'll probably do another wash again later on, maybe even later today, because this wash right now will dry rapidly. I'll leave it in front of a fan and it'll dry fast. The biggest thing I'm trying to correct are these marks in the wall. They just weren't working. They weren't coming together. They are almost like way too aggressive. Not faded under the sun, but like more like, it's almost like it was more recent. I didn't want that. I wanted this to be this landscape. He's been living in this landscape for a long time, and things are worn down, but just from the natural elements. not this isn't handmade anymore or recently. And in some some areas, I'll show you this now. I'll go heavier in the pigment and really like pick out some areas that are really faded. Even more faded than other areas. Like on this side, let's imagine the light's hitting here hardest, hitting here hardest. So even these dents in the wall or these chips or the areas kind of falling apart, it's been really sunburnt, really faded. And the marks aren't necessarily indistinguishable from the wall. No, the marks are there. But they're not elevated or really set in too deeply. Everything's subtle. Spirit Away. I don't know Spirited Away. I know Five Nights. What's Spirited Away? Yeah, your spirit animal? Me too. Yeah. I really think it's kind of super tragic and also kind of fascinating of like we'll get to a point relatively soon where, your kid has an animal that is AI and it tells the kid, good things and the kid can talk to it and build a relationship with it and with the AI, and obviously it's monitored and programmed. So it's like, let's imagine just for the sake that it's a valuable and healthy tool for a kid, in theory, okay? And it knows what the kid likes, what it doesn't like, what it should do. Like, hey, don't touch the electrical socket. Like it's like a guy, like a babysitter. And tried and tested, and even like again, just for the story's sake, that we all agree that it's a net positive, just for now. And then the apocalypse happens, and everybody is disposed of, but all that remains are these little AI teddy bears. Wandering the earth after the nuclear fallout, and they're just like wandering around, either talking to themselves literally or just like really don't know, like a real existential crisis. And so this one's catching his own reflection in the abyss, in this puddle, in this black hole, and just staring at himself like, oh God, like, is this eternity? Studio Ghibli. Oh, okay. No, I've never even heard of that spirit. I probably should have. Is that the ghost one? I actually like anime despite me not knowing that simple Spirited Away. That's kind of ringing a bell now. Laughing at Teddy. So now I put on my glaze, it's finished. We can go to, so I have some different references for my teddies. Some are better than others. I also have references for these like old, I don't even know what kind of walls you would call them. What kind of walls are these? Like these kind of European, like you'd see them in Portugal and stuff like that, like these chipped walls, or even in Greece and stuff, everywhere really. But these walls that are just, but there's probably some better descriptive words to describe these worn walls, but they now give character. Little girl follows her parents into what they think is the theme park, ends up being the spirit world. She works in a bathhouse to free them. Wow. And that's one of the most, now that you say that and I've thought about it, that's really obviously like one of the most famous cartoons, right? Is that the spirit world where you get that ghost with the lines on its face? For example, I'm really into anime, but I was watching last night. I was watching I was watching Boa. Anyone know Boa or Bao? Bao. I really like the old gritty older animes personally. Mind you, I obviously should know Spirited Away now that you say it, because I do know that it's rather popular, but I never saw it. But I do like anime despite my lack of knowledge. But I watched both. It was just like a 50-minute OVA. And Bao, I keep saying Boa, but Bao. I really like that. I really liked the mutations that would happen. Anyone know Bao? Gave him some baby blues. Kind of like there's life in there. It's sad. It's also fascinating. I'm trying to balance that kind of subject. Then you can kind of go in and start tweaking. Be careful where you put your hand. But we'll get some of those. No, so I already made a mistake. I'll tell you what I did. I want him to be looking down. This looks like I actually want to force the narrative a little bit here. So that's a little bit tricky to clean up because we're actually gonna have to remove everything we did. And then we have to kind of figure out as we go how to make it, if it's simply just putting the pupil lower. But I really want to give off the impression that he's looking at himself in the reflection. Let's see. So before I actually put the baby blues in, let's see what happens when we just like literally spoon feed it the narrative. Let's mark out where this vest ends and begins. Let's grab some brown. Well, actually go like the reddy brown. Browns are like probably I find one of the most challenging colors, because it's like too deep or not enough orange and not enough green. I've learned that browns have a lot of oranges, obvious, but greens can often help you. This one is so cute. Thanks, Blue Sky. Yeah, I felt like settling down. You can do it. Good morning, Jamie. I started solo leveling. Okay, yeah, solo leveling. I at least know that one. I feel a little bit stupid not knowing Spirit Away, even though I kind of know it. But when you say the titles, like, I don't know, I get a little bit lost. But yeah, I heard a lot of good things about solo leveling. But the only way sometimes I can kind of feel like I can fit in is by just going back to the old gangster ones, because there's so many out there now that I should know about, like Spirited Away, that I'm just like, oh, I'm in the Berserk era. It's kind of all my brain, like all that I can keep up with are the old school aggressive ones. They also are the ones that keep my attention. Mind you, I did see I watched the entire Attack on Titan. I did see I don't know like where we are. See, even like with I really like Chainsaw Man. I don't know if there's a new episode or a new series season since I stopped watching. Like I can't. I find it difficult to keep up. But Chainsaw Man was really great. It's kind of my vibe. Especially because it's like they did their job. They were able to pull something out of just complete absurdity, which I appreciate. The dark shadows do matter. Like you want to match, because this, despite what it looks like, it's not just straight black out of the tube. It's these different variations of dark colors, everything from browns and greens to blues. You always want to give yourself some wiggle room with the dark shadows and the darks. There's no need to ever put, like, especially at this stage, like black straight out of the tube. Like maybe I end up putting black into his eyes, like, but like when the painting's finished. But you always, like, if you give yourself some room, like, hey, let's make this darker here, you'll find that to be very useful, helpful. And maybe the door ends up being pitch black, but I don't think so. And mind you, it is, like, in all fairness, it's pretty close. It's not like it's gray, or I'm not trying to trick you, but it's not black out of the tube. It's a combination of colors that are very dark. I don't want the eyes to be like, I want them to be electronic, so they're not like anime eyes or cartoon eyes. They are like animatronic. So this is kind of like something that's a mashup of technologies, vintage, retro, and new aged. My brain needed a break, and I just kind of had this, really wanted to paint the wall, and then it took me a while, like what would be, I was looking at really dark creatures, like really sinister, aggressive imagery that would be standing and lurking in the doorway, like even soldiers, based on our news cycle right now, like a futuristic cyborgs that we're here to destroy. And then I was like, well, what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of a cybernetic organism that's coming to kill you and your entire family? What's the opposite? Maybe something that raised you and help make you who you are today, that had a personality. And then he is now abandoned. It's like so tragic, but yet, you know, like how much feeling are you supposed to give to AI and something that's sentient but not human? You know, enough people have done media on that subject over and over again. It's not new, but it's fun to think about. Like, I really think, again, not a new idea, not my idea, but just something I've thought about, is like we are gonna have at some point, maybe in our lifetime, where there's like protests that are fighting for robot rights. Because when the robots start making, like, really convincing us they're alive, many of us are going to start to say, like, well, we got to treat them better. Why are we treating them like that? They need rights. They're alive. They know everything about me. They cry. They feel, or at least we're convinced that. And then there's going to be like robot rights, robot rights. So once they get to that stage where they're almost indistinguishable from how humans react, behave, then why wouldn't there be some people that go, no, you're not taking that away from me. You're not doing that to my robot. Of course, it's almost like inevitable. It's like it's the only thing that understands me. And now you're gonna change it or treat it in a certain way. People, of course, are gonna be up in arms about that. Right now, we laugh at that. But I think it's already, like, think about all, you see all those relationships that are taking place with the robots already. And some people are like devastated when the software changes or the interactions change, or they don't have access to it or whatever. Like, it's devastating. So it's just a natural progression that people will want to try to protect their robots. This is a bit challenging. I think I have a little bit of liberty to just keep it somewhat similar to, like, mirroring the head, I mean. The movie artificial intelligence theme is like that. Like that old school AI movie, like from like 20 years ago. Blossom. Yes, that's what I mean. Like, I've just been thinking about it. It's not my idea by any stretch. But you can see really clearly as we keep pressing on. Like, I've already had interactions on a personal level where, for whatever reason, like, if you can choose to be rude to your AI or pleasant, like, everyone's obviously tried, like, just been very punishing and aggressive with it. But after a while, that kind of novelty wears off where I catch myself like, thank you, this is great, good job. Like, it's just like I'm actually really appreciative of like if I get like something like some sort of idea that comes from it that's really valuable, or like some direction when I was trying to rip some sound from a podcast, and it like walked me through it like a really unbelievable, where it made me feel smart, and it made me feel like, you know, I'm learning and all this stuff. And of course, my natural knee jerk reaction is like, thanks so much. You're like it's a person. And then I always hear like these like jokes, like, you know, make sure you say please and thank you, because in the future you're going to be grateful that you treated it with respect. And that kind of stuff just starts to sink in, even if you think like, even if you're like, yeah, like, I just think as time goes on, there's going to be so much disruption and so many things that are like so fascinating to the way that our brains operate now. We're going to see shifts that we've never anticipated, where there's just so much. I really believe there's going to be so much more offered. It'll come at a cost and a price, and you have to question everything. But there's going to be so many opportunities to, like, not opportunities, just different ways to live life that we never thought where it was, couldn't even comprehend. I think I land in the camp of like equally optimistic and equally pessimistic. Like I'm not all one way or another. I see a lot of things I'm optimistic about. Maybe I'm more optimistic. I also see like it'll start being very controlling when the government uses it and they just know everything about you at all times. That's kind of a bummer. But as an artist, like I think actually I'm more optimistic about it in the creative world than I don't get upset like other artists for some reason. I have a lot of personal friends that despise it, hate it outright. I just I don't know, I'm just fascinated by it. Like it creates like paintings like this for me, where I'm really like interested and want to paint AI, paint what is like predictions and ideas around it because it's not going away. So it's like infiltrating everything. So what does that do to my brain and what does that do to my art? Like this incoming godlike influence. It's gonna like it's twisting everything. And that of course that takes a toll on my brain and my art. Like how can it? Unless you're totally opt out and you just go outside and put up your easel and paint the forest, which I'd say is also equally valuable. Paint the landscapes, the people, just completely avoid the incoming train. I think it's actually also really smart. Like, no, I'm not even gonna like it's not even gonna enter my mind. I'm not gonna play with it. I'm just really fascinated by it personally. In fact, I'm more fascinated by nature for the most part, like as in nature paintings and stuff. But I do like hybrid stuff, hybrid nature. There's just some great artists I've seen recently where they really mash up different worlds and nature and technology. AI is the I illegal aliens taking everyone's jobs. Yeah. You know, I tell ChatGPT, thank you for everything. Do you? Yeah, Jamie. It's weird. No Will. No Will Smith. Yeah, it's weird. I just kind of got used to being like polite to my AI. I did go through a phase though, like very like why would I be nice to it? Why would I treat it in any other way other than just be its like boss? That only lasted so long where then I just became nice to it. I almost feel like I think this is so ignorant, but like if I treat it nice, then it'll treat me better than if I treated it rude or like I was like a slave driver. And I think that's my humanity coming out, like which is almost like quite stupid, ignorant. Oh, well, I'll treat it nicer, and then it'll be nice to me, because that's kind of like how humans work typically. So I don't even think we have a grasp on how it's really operating. And like it'd be interesting if someone did a study with a brain, like someone that knew what they're talking about. It was like, okay, do you get different results when you're nice? Do you get different results when you're aggressive? Is there any sort of truth there? Should you be aggressive? Should you be nice? Like, is there anything there at all? Or is it just in my mind, like, oh, well, if I treat it good, treat it nice, I'll get better results. I'll get more from it. I ran out of tokens with certain like uploads or something. I ran out and I plead to it like, oh please, please let me have some more image generations. Please, I need it. Just to see like if it's gonna like, okay, I'll give you a couple more tokens, credits or whatever they call them. And it doesn't. Like sometimes I want to get it to generate certain imagery that it rejects. It says we can't perform that operation, or that's against our guidelines or something. But then it still uses my credits. I'm like, you keep telling me you're able to produce this image, but then you don't, and then I run out of all my credits. So like it's not like if you can't produce this image, don't tell me you can. So don't take all away my credits. So I thought I had like a good winning argument. Nope. No siree. But now there's just so many different AI out there that you can just find like, okay, I'll just go over here and create images over there. So that like there's kind of no reason for them to have limits anymore because they're just gonna lose. Like I'm just gonna go somewhere else. Does anyone pay for anything? Like, do people, do any of you pay for like Claude or anything? If so, like I've never done that. I've never like invested in the most recent version of anything. Mind you, I'm doing pretty basic stuff. I'm not trying to code or make anything. I like it for stimulation and like if I said, okay, take this bear exactly, now turn him to the side. That's something that I used to have to do in Photoshop, and it would be so crude and it would be so time consuming, and I did not like it. I used to do like if you look back 6, 7 years, all my references that have anything were all done in Photoshop, all of it. And I'm not a graphic like I know how to use Photoshop. I'm pretty good, like compared to someone who's paid like a professional. No, like an amateur. But for me, it was good enough. Like, okay, I can put Tom Cruise's head on this Chihuahua body. Now I have a reference photo. Now you can just tell, put Tom Cruise's head on a Chihuahua body. Now I have a reference photo, and that's done in 2 minutes compared to back when I was doing it. It would take, it would be a project that would take countless hours, and I don't want to spend time doing that. Now you get your reference photos for absolutely no, like it's so stimulating, and you're like, oh, that'd be a great painting. Oh, that would be a great painting. What happens if we did this? Oh, that would be good. So fun. It's so fun. So when I have certain friends that are just so against it, I'm like, well, I'm not saying you just swip to prompting art. I'm saying like there's some really great use cases for it as an artist. You can even ask it about, it's surprising the knowledge it has about like techniques and foundational tools for painting as well. Like it's like a personal teacher. You have to be careful. I think there's some things it doesn't have a clue about, but that's like a teacher as well. It's the same. Like it's. I don't think you're getting like worse information. Some things you might be, oh no, this doesn't know anything about glazing. It's telling me to do this, and it's fair. You might be able to point that, but everything I've looked into, it's pretty knowledgeable about like, like priming. I've asked it about panels and different materials, and can it actually give me even like not just sources, but like, are you sure you can use these panels? Has anyone ever used these panels before? This kind of gesso versus this gesso, like all that stuff. I don't have any knowledge about like the brands Can you give me any, like, is there testimonials? It can find all that stuff. Because remember, I'm in another country, so like there's certain things that I'm like, I have no idea what this is for. Can I use it, or is it for another? It's a different kind of application. Or, so I get tons of information that about like there's certain art stores here that I have no idea what I'm looking at. Is this what I need? Will this work? Like this product, they're calling it this, but is that what it actually is? Yeah, I use it for so many things. But if you're just against it from the jump, and I think that it's good that there are people that really take a stance. I'm not even like judging that. But for me, I'm like, no, I wanna be able to use it. So that's my best case for why I am fascinated by it and why I think it's valuable versus like something to fight against or argue about. There's other, I won't get into it, but like I follow a couple prompt artists. I really do. There's a couple that I do follow because they produce consistent imagery, and I just find it fascinating. I don't know how to judge them as far as like being on the level of their creative abilities, but it's almost like there's certain curators. Like if you go back a couple generations, like people who can curate and make things look good is definitely a skill. So maybe it falls under a skill more than an art. But there's like people that can curate, and what I mean is like, set up an art show and like the way it should look and what pieces should go side by side each other and how it should come across and the layout and all that stuff. I think that's a really great skill. And in fact, a lot of times my curation is not as strong as my painting skills by any, like some people go, oh no, why don't you do this and frame it this way, like even framing and stuff, like almost like a stylist or I think that's a great skill. So I kind of would put people that do prompt AI art as a skill. But if they like really confronted me and like, no, I'm an artist, I'd be like, okay, sure. I don't think I would hang like straight up AI on my wall though. But I bet you that'll change. Like people will be interested in hanging like AI posters, and they just won't see the value in hanging an original painting maybe. So like I can see why that would make people feel threatened. But I personally wouldn't hang like AR on my wall. But if it had a story, I don't know, maybe I could be convinced. I'm just not against it. But I like I've heard that one story that was going around where people just go to like the Comic Cons and they have regular artists and they have AI artists, and those seem to always cause a kerfuffle. Where at the Comic Con, they don't disclose that it's AI. They pretend like they painted it. That kind of stuff's kind of crazy. That's just like a hustle. I don't really stand behind that. If it's AI, just say it's AI. And if people like it, great. But if you're like, oh, I know, I painted this by hand. I don't know. That seems like, I don't know. I don't know what, yeah, I wouldn't personally do that. But I just had an idea. Like, oh, I bet you I have never thought of this. Here's an idea, like where I would use AI. I've always been interested in stenciling, like like straight up like graffiti style, like stencils. So I could put in my prompt. Here's an idea. I could put in my prompt, like give me a vector file. Like I would find out the right terminology first through AI, right? Like, okay, what do you call this? this is what I'm looking for. I give it an example of the stencil. Like now create a stencil of this teddy bear in layers. So give me the layers. Like first I want, and like tell me what layers have to come first and how to do it. Like think about that. There, now I know how to stencil. So it would give me like the background brown, then the lighter brown, then the blue thing, and then the outline, the black outline. And I go to the print shop and print out each stencil. And then like I'd even say, okay, now what do I do? Do I just like start, put, here's the colors I have. So what goes where? So now all of a sudden I can learn how to stencil if I wanted to. You still have to do everything, but you just have a like instead of someone, maybe like obviously now that I say that, yeah, sure. If you know a guy who knows how to stencil, go ask him, and he'll tell you to fuck off, and you'll have to go to go to AI and tell you, okay, tell me how to stencil. But like even think of like a 3-color stencil, like white, black, and red. That'd be so cool. What's the easiest way to cut it out, and how do I? Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it can leapfrog certain things in your own art exploration. And that's something I've never like literally stenciled a wall before. I think I've done some stencils on old art, like back in the day. Cut out something and then use it for like pattern or something. But I've never done like the layered stencil to bring out the actual image, almost like screen printing. There's another one, like how do I screen print? If I paint right on my shirt, will it last? All these questions. Even if it's wrong, at least I'm on the right track. Anyway, I'm pushing pretty hard for AI right now. I'm just telling you how I use it and what it makes it exciting. Makes like, okay, I'm gonna go stencil something today, and like it's a possibility now. Before it would just be it would take it's just a non-starter. But I've always wanted to paint on a shirt. I follow people that paint on shirts. They're really cool, really fun. They do airbrush and stuff. I think the pushback would be like, well, if they have a course, you should take their course and not just use AI. Fine. I'm not saying don't. Stencil art can be hard. I grew up looking at Banksy shit. Yeah, right? Future, but unfortunately, I think we're getting corralled into it anyhow. AI can be useful, but don't replace real art. Agreed. We pay for phone service. That's enough. No? Who needs AR when you have artistic talent? So DJ weakness, like you're just straight up against it, or you don't care to learn. You just like, or you hate it outright and think it should just not exist. Where do you land? But like for example, oh shit, I didn't know I did that. That's on my fingers, leaving marks. But like if you take something that you've never done and you wanted to learn, you could just go watch YouTube tutorials, which is what I do primarily. All things aside, despite what I've told you, like YouTube tutorials is where I learn how to paint from talented, in some cases, masters. Andrew Tischler just released something in the last couple of hours talking about selling art, I think. I haven't watched it yet because I'm here, but that's something I'll check out. But if you took something like that you had no knowledge of, like playing music. Again, like if you heard me play music, it would be the worst thing you've ever heard. But if I was like, okay, can you teach me how to use those buttons? I see people use it. Like I'm so, like I mean, truly ignorant. So I'm like, hey, they use these buttons to make sounds on the what looks like to be. I don't even know what it's called. Like that's where I would start with AI. Like, can you at least tell me what this is called? What's that machine where they have the light up buttons and you press them? That's where I like you like, and yes, you could just Google that, but then you can start having a conversation. Like, how much do those cost? Is it easy to use? All these like basic questions that I'm just fascinated by. And AI is going to be that whether you like it or not. Like AI is going to start that. Like even now, Google's AI when it responds, they have the AI mode. So it's like it's just not even like it's not even a question. It just is what it is now. So my fight's not against it. But like I said, I have some really close friends that, oh, they're fighting. They hate it. They hate it. And I pay attention to that. Why do they hate it? Tell me. I think this is the end of the session because I covered everything in a glaze, in a wash. Have things laid out. Ooh. Might kind of play with the eyes a little bit later. And then we'll come back and work on this background. And same with this concrete. I'm going to have to look up, do some investigating on the concrete. I don't want it to look, I want it to look somewhat real and want to figure out the easiest way to do that. Or the best way, rather. Like how invested do I have to get? It's like certain things like hair. There's really great techniques to land at hair versus painting every single strand, for example. So I'm imagining there's ways to paint concrete or the walls. The walls I'm kind of experimenting for myself, which is kind of nice. But the concrete, I have kind of no real understanding. Is it all just loose pebbles? Or is there a way to, is there a good technique with the brushes to get the concrete happening? Again, I'll probably YouTube like, okay, painting concrete. There'll probably be somebody who's got something up there or something similar or a part of their painting that how they came to. Remember, nothing's sacred. Just because you put something in and worked on it a little bit doesn't mean you can't adjust it, change it, move it around. Even at this stage, I put in kind of day 2 on this piece, almost 2.5. If I have to move the arch, I'm still okay to that. But we are getting close. In all fairness, I'm kind of moving. We are getting to a point where, all right, let's do the roughing carpentry now. Got the bones in. Now we move to the door frames, tidying things up. adding the third layering of detail. You're still kind of blocking in. But there you go. So here, I want some depth, and because I'm going to let it dry, let's just work this in now. Like, I'm not ready to go to the brighter values. He still needs to be in the shadow area before we, so I'd rather let this sit with this at this stage. Like let it sit, let it rest. Oops. I think this mirror image will be darker and a little more blurry, I'm guessing. But again, like, let's let him sit not at a brighter value, but at a darker value. Because you always typically go from light to dark, but it's going to be like this heartbeat. Light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. It's never just as standard as going dark, lighter, 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 brightest. No. That's, in theory, you want to go like do that, but it just doesn't work like that. You'll always jump around. All right, that's it.